Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say Kal Halayim Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Ha Rokakadash Baraktam. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Today is going to be a bit of a quick hit lesson. Not exactly history, but I guess just a kind of a general quick hit. And the water to the brother, he knows who he is, who linked this up to me and brought it up to me. But we're gonna read it, and we'll probably call this video in depth on the police. Where do police come from? All right, so police in etymology online, the regulation and control of a community, similar in sense to policy. From Middle French, police, organized government, civil administration, and we know that the police actually do this. You know, the police, when you really think of it, are merely the military wing of the elite. They carry out, the orders of the elite on a local level. You know, there's many different articles and web pages you can go on. I can't exactly remember the name, but there was one where a police officer who was actually a Mason was going into it and explaining how the police officers have a lot of Masons in them. All right. Police, etymology online, the regulation and policy of a community, similar since the policy from Middle French, police, organized government, civil administration from Latin policia, civil administration from Greek polis, city. All right, and this, when you go into it, right, polis is another way of saying a Greek city-state. So this is wikipedia.org. Ooh, I'm using Wikipedia. Oh, I can't use Wikipedia. Alright, polis, plural poleis, literally meaning city in Greek. It defined the administrative and religious city center. Alright, this is where you get the word police from this word polis, same as policy. Alright, it defined the administrative and religious city center as distinct from the rest of the city. Okay, so it's not the police, made distinct from other people inside the society. They call us civilians, and they call them the police. They call them the military. They call them the big bankers. And there's a clear, it's not even real order. It's really corruption. There's a clear caste system here. Where the police and the bankers are the ones that have control, and we, the people, we're just seen as civilians. They don't really mind sacrificing our lives. Literally means city in Greek. It defined the administrative and religious city center as distinct from the rest of the city. It can also signify a body of citizens. In modern historiography, polis is normally used to indicate the ancient Greek city-states, such as classical Athens and its contemporaries, and thus is often translated as city-state. All right. I got a scripture in my mind that I'm going to go into. It just came right off the head. These cities consisted of a fortified city center, Asti, built on a acropolis or harbor and controlled surrounding territories of land, Kora. All right, so fortified city center. We're going to go back into that. I didn't even think I was going to get the scripture, but, we're just going to go get into it. But beast that was. Yeah, this is in Revelation chapter 17, verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was and is not. Alright, and this is having 7 heads. Yeah, the beast is going into NATO and the EU. And the woman that rides upon the beast is just going into America. Just to, once again, I want to make this kind of a quick hit lesson. I'll probably do a breakdown. Whenever the spirit comes upon me, I'll probably do a breakdown of that. Of the woman and the beast. All right, so this is the book of Revelation chapter 17, and I actually start at 7. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I'll tell you the mystery of the woman, America, and of the beast that carrieth her, which have the 7 heads and the 10 horns. All right, and the 7 heads and the 10 horns, it goes into NATO and the EU. When you go into NATO, I believe with NATO there was originally 7 members. And the 10 horns, all those 10 horns also come out the 7 heads. The seven, you know, the seven countries in NATO, the EU, are those 10 horns. Those 10 countries that are in the EU come out of the original 7 heads. All right, and the dragon originally had the 7 heads. All right, so these 7 heads, remember the dragon gave power unto the beast. It's just a continuation of the Roman Empire. All right, those NATO continued in the EU, which is Rome's allies once again coming back, and NATO and the EU, they're together. I hope I'm explaining myself in a good way. The beast that thou sawest was and is not. Alright, it was the Roman Empire, but it's not the Roman Empire. How can we prove that it was the Roman Empire? The same Edomite system, still same governing system, same governing body, senators. The way we have our Senate chambers and Congress chambers are modeled after, Roman Edomite customs. Verse 8, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, but at the same time it's not, Rome. It is, they borrow certain customs from Rome, but it's not in the same place. Alright, and it's not, and shall descend of the bottomless pit. That bottomless pit is going into Europe and going to perdition. It's going to be destroyed by nuclear fire. And how can we prove that real quick? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 17 and 16. And the 10 horns going into, NATO and the EU, which thou sawest upon the beast, thee shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn it with fire. And they're going to burn it with nuclear fire. America's so-called allies are going to betray her and burn her with fire. They're going to send nuclear missiles, and they're going to absolutely destroy this place. And we're already kind of seeing the rudiments of that with this whole AUKUS, AUKUS, agreement. Where America is making a security pact with the UK and Australia, to combat China. Alright, they know that war is coming and that war is inevitable. Alright, and that the Most High is going to make them do battle with each other. They could try to defend against it, but they're going to fail. It's inevitable. The Most High, He said it, so it's going to come to pass. They know it's prophecy. These guys know the prophecies. But even when you look at it, I didn't read the article, but one article had a page talking about how France feels betrayed by the U.S. giving nuclear submarines to giving nuclear submarines to Australia. I don't got to look into the whole business like that, but you could kind of, it's clear as day. These America's allies are fed up. The other nations are fed up with America. Everyone's fed up with America. All right, and this is what's going to lead to Revelation chapter 17 and 16, taking place. And the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall descend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wander. Wander means, follow after. Whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. All right, so the people that follow and are going to serve this beast and take, the mark, they weren't written in the book. They aren't chosen. When they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. All right, so the beast that was. All right, they were the Roman and Greek Empire, the Edomite Roman and Greek Empire. They were, and they are not, because they're not in the exact same place as they were before, but they are today. America is merely the Neo-Greco-Roman Empire, which I'll probably go into a video, just on that. This is just another examples of, how they follow these Greek customs. This polis, the Greek city-state. Why do they have to keep reusing, ancient Greek symbols, ancient Greek customs and philosophies if they're not the same people, if they've changed as they say? All right. Another thing I want to bring on the police, is that for you, newer brothers that aren't in the know, but the police are extremely important to biblical prophecy. All right. So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and I'll start at verse. I'll start verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. And this is, you could use this talk about the race war, the inevitable race war, which we've already seen little rudiments here and there with, fights in the streets, You know, you've had that group Rise of the Moors that have guns. You have all these quote-unquote black militia organizations, but you really know that those organizations are all CIA assets anyway. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, there is going to be a boiling point where the average citizen, you know, the average Negro Jake is gonna blow his top. You know, and he's gonna fight against these Edomites. You know, that's for the 2/3. All right, we don't got to worry about that. That's for 2/3. All right, because we know, according to biblical prophecy, this thing isn't gonna be won by us fighting. All right, we're not gonna pick up an AK-47 and start shooting at Esau. All right, Esau's blessing was the sword. We're not gonna win against him. All right. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. All right. And of course, their actions shall stand in their power. All right. So what's this going into? You know, it's the people, the everyday citizen. You know, even these Edomites, not really even the Edomites, but these Edomites are standing against other Edomites. Edomite against Edomite, Jakes against Edomite, Moab against Edomite. These people are just going to fight against each other. You know, we're seeing that now to this day. You know, you got, you know, various groups. Like if you watch Band.video, one of the videos recently had a possible Jake woman, an Italian, a possible Israelite foreigner. And she was going into how she's not going to discriminate against people taking the Windows 19, into their, you know, she's not going to discriminate against people who have taken or have not taken the Windows 19. You know, she's pretty much on, you know, your body, your choice. You know, so she's saying that she's going to go against the government. You know, and more people are starting to think like that they're just not going to do it. You know, moving on. But it really doesn't matter what they're going to do, because, you know, the scriptures say, you know, what have the wicked to do to keep the commandments, you know, roughly paraphrasing. So even though these people are going to try to keep the commandments, or well, not really try to, slip of the tongue, even though the people may think that they're doing some sort of righteousness by saying, I'm not taking it, it really doesn't matter. They're still going to die anyway. You know, they're not going to be saved, because they're not the Israelites according to the Bible. All right. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. And this is going into martial law. This is how the police are going to be extremely important, you know, in the course of biblical prophecy. They're going to have, you know, gates. And I actually had a conversation with a brother. I'm going to pause and I'm going to show it. Yeah, so...
All right, I'm driving on the freeway right now.
I didn't want to show the text. I mean, I guess I could have anyway, but, you know, of course, around the brothers, other, you know, family and personal information, I didn't want to show it.
Seeing one military truck ahead of me, behind me, and then there's another one right here that I'm driving past right now. All right, now, I don't know exactly what's happening, but, you know, it doesn't look like, you know, it looks like they're getting ready for something.
All right, so we just went over the whole AUKUS agreement, the security pact, which I believe is currently, you know, they must have, if they put it on the news, it must be already settled and they must already have it together. I'm going to read up on it. I don't want Ratazar go into it on camp, but, you know, these police are already set up. You know, they pulled the police out of, you know, Afghanistan and brought them back to the U.S. You know, why? Why would they do that? Because the enemies is at home. They not really... They're gonna come back there eventually, but you know, they really want to focus and get shit set up at home. They know that, you know, they got a short time. You know, going back to Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. You know, the devil should come upon you having great wrath, for you know that you have but a short time. All right, and his time is over. You know. Then I want to get one more scripture, and I'm gonna close out. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. And verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. All right, nor ever shall be. You know what happened later after Yahushua said this was, you know, in 70 AD you had the siege of Jerusalem, which I believe took over, you know, some time. It wasn't just a one-day thing. I believe it took maybe a year for them to you know, take down the city. Maybe I'll do a lesson on it, you know, because I gotta go into the history on that. But it's also talking about today. You know, this well, not today, but coming close to today, the time of Jacob's trouble. You know, which you can read about. You know, let's go pull it up real quick. In Jacob's, it's the book of Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. How is Jacob going to be saved out of Jacob's trouble? All right, when Yahushua comes with the sign of the clouds, and when he comes, you know, with his clouds. And you can read about that all through Revelation. You know, once again, I don't really want to make the video too long, but you know, the police are going to be mobilized in this time of tribulation, and this time of Jacob's trouble. They're going to be going around to, you know, possibly grab certain of the brothers of the brotherhood outside of their homes, you know, to bring them to various you know, camps. I know down here in you know, where I'm at in Ithaca, they have certain flood camps, you know, quote unquote flood camps. You know, they may try to pull some of the brethren, you know, Adon Ratazah, you know, I'm of the hopeful elect number. You know, they may try to pull me up into those flood camps. You know, when we already know what's going to go on to those flood camps. You know, they're gonna, you know, attempt to, you know, try to maybe make one last push to you and say, all right, listen, we'll let you go if you do X, Y, and Z. Sign your name on the dotted line, and if you don't sign your name on the dotted line, well, then that's it. You know, it's gonna be guillotine time. You know, but hey, you know, the scriptures say, let me just hold on. Hold on. Oh, what is going on? Yeah, there we go. Standard. I'll rise up a standard against him. Yeah, so this is the book of Isaiah chapter 59 verse 19. So should they fear the name of the Most High from the west. Oh. Yeah, so from the west all the way down here in the western part of the earth, in America, you know, North America, South America, and his glory from the rising of the sun, which is the east. So from all over the world. All right, the east, you got brothers all down there in Europe. You got brothers down there in the Middle East. You got a GMS in Arabia, which he needs to make more videos. I remember one brother told me that guy really doesn't post very often, or maybe he's posting another page, but he has to put more videos up, you know, or explain the situation. You know, there's no time for fear in this thing, you know. And his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. All right, going to Jacob's trouble, you know, going into a man shall want to go into a city which should not be able to, and you know that's what these 2/3 and these other nations are going to deal with, you know, going into that day of tribulation, you know, which has never been seen before, as well as Jacob's trouble, which I already said, I believe. You know, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Most High shall lift up a standard against him. All right, and that spirit, and that standard against him, you know, that could come in many different ways. You know, it could be, you know, I believe when you go into that word standard, it means a way of escape. Let me see if I can find it. All right, I just heard a brother went into it. So this means this is standard. I'm not gonna try to break it down. To hasten, to put to flight, put away the flight, to hasten, take anything by flight, to put in safety. All right, how are we gonna be put in safety when Yahushua returns? To take oneself to flight, pretty much a way of escape. You know, a way to make haste. You know, and that's pretty much it on this. It's really not even short anymore, but it is what it is. You know, a lot of information. All right, but this is pretty much the video on you know, the police. Once again, they come from Paulus, Greek city states, ties all the way back to biblical prophecy. How this you know, this nation, you know, this whore, you know, Babylon the Great, you know, as well as the beast, which the woman rides upon. You know, it's just a Neo-Greco-Roman Empire. All right, you know. So I want to say, call Halalim Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Al Rokah Kadash or Barakadam. All right, and that's all I got. Shalom.